Ollie, we got the sun, thankfully. This is gorgeous.
Briefly,
now,
yeah.
I just see, I see this, it is a beautiful looking book, and this has been how many years in the planning, or is it just?
A couple of years.
Right.
A couple of years ago, Catherine Wright, who's the archivist in Wicklow County Council, got in touch with a number of Wicklow local historians and asked them to take part in this particular project, putting together material on the War of Independence in the county. So all areas in the county are represented, from sort of right down the south, Carnew and places like that, to Arklow, and then up to Wicklow, and then of course North Wicklow with Greystones and Bray, and then Skerry.
Well, of course, as you say now, the fact that there was only 11 fatalities in the county would suggest, it wasn't a big impact, but of course it had a huge impact, as it did with everybody in the whole country.
Well, ultimately, of course, it had a huge impact because it changed everything. But yes, of course it had an impact. But one of the things that comes through in the book, and I think it's a useful reminder, is that ordinary life went on as well.
Right.
So, you know, you had people going to court, you had people being born and dying and so on. You had cases about overcharging for groceries, that kind of thing.
Some people have no respect for history.
Well, absolutely. They don't realise what's going on behind them. Yeah. Of course, you could argue about what's the real history. The real history might be the ordinary things that are happening.
True.
It is the ordinary things that are happening.
So when it came to your own contribution, I don't know whether you already had the material, or whether it took a little bit of time to decide that this is what I'm going to concentrate on, or this is what I'll put in the book.
Well, I've actually got 3 pieces in the book.
Right.
2 of them deal directly with Greystones. One of them is the piece on the flu, the Spanish flu, which originally was in the Greystones Guide.
Yeah,
so
brilliant piece,
you
a
have a part there.
3-parter, yeah.
So that's been extended, that's in there, and that really covers the entire county, not just here, but right through.
Yeah.
And then I've also got a couple of pieces about, one is about the railway stoppage in 1920. There was a railwayman stoppage, a much longer one, which went on for several months, but there was an incident in Greystones where the train from Wexford was stopped there for a couple of days, and there was great re-raw about it. So that's described. And then I've also talked about the evidence on Greystones in the witness statements in the Bureau of Military History. And of course there's not a huge amount, because as you say, Wicklow itself wasn't much affected, and Greystones was probably even less affected, because a number of the Republicans actually mentioned how hard it was to recruit people here, so there wasn't very much activity in this area. But I found a couple of really good stories from Greystones in those witness statements.
Now we should say this is Otto. Otto's decided this is the right time to really want to be played with. Stop, Otto. Now, you good man yourself. Hold on there. There we go. You just can hang out with us a little bit. Sorry about that. This is the way it is in the real world. You're a big idiot, you. No respect for history. So I often think when you're able to explore moments like that in the history, your jigsaw puzzle of this area, and Ireland itself, is huge. So it must be so satisfying when you realise, oh, there's another piece, and that fits in with this is why this is knock-on effective. I mean, I'm guessing it's a very satisfying,
It's wonderful. It's one of the thrills of doing history, the chasing down clues and the joining up the dots, if you like. Of course, one of the difficulties in the last couple of years has been the fact that you couldn't, for the most part, go to libraries or archives. So a lot of the pieces would depend heavily on stuff that was online. But there is so much online now. There's the civil registers of births and deaths. There's the census, which was absolutely brilliant and probably started the whole thing of sort of online research on. And there are the newspapers, which I used a lot in my pieces. So there is quite a lot out there. And then, of course, secondary sources as well.
Well, it is a little bit like Who Do You Think You Are, Wicklow, because you're sort of finding, records are suddenly available that weren't available before, and it colours in a certain area that may have been grey, and now it's got colour.
Yeah.
And again, that idea that others are bringing in their findings, and suddenly you're getting this bigger overall picture, which sort of makes it an obvious thing then for a book to be put together, as opposed to, there's great, like the Greystones Archaeological and Historical Society, there are great societies out there doing this work, but it must be quite satisfying when a book is put together, because then it's forever, it's there, it's an actual proper record of the whole.
Of what was happening then, but also of what's happening now in Wicklow in terms of local history. Because I think one of the things that it does show as well is just how healthy local history is in Wicklow. Because as I say, you've got people, historians representing so many areas of the county and all doing their own work in their own particular area, and sometimes more county-wide as well. So it's great to see that is going on, because we don't always maybe cooperate with each other. Or I won't say we cooperate if we get the opportunity, but we all tend to work on our own. And it's great to actually see the stuff here together and be able to join up the dots, as I said earlier.
I've got to say, last year when you're giving us your wonderful Spanish flu history, I remember thinking, holy moly, imagine that, a year and a half, and it comes back, a second wave when everyone thought it was over. And now I look back on that, it's almost, that'd be great, it was just a year and a half. It does seem to be
lucky them.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
So we will say that this is available in I know it's in the Village Books.
The Village Bookshop, down in Bridge Books in Wicklow and in Bray Books. And it's just $21.95. It's an absolutely lovely book.
Yeah.
Really interesting, wide-ranging material in there. And also the loveliest illustrations.
Ah, beautiful.
That's Arklow.
Ah, yes.
And you can actually still recognise it.
Yes.
Going over the bridge there.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
then there are other ones of, say, Bray Main Street, which
Right.
has changed so much.
Sure.
And then every page you go there's
The good old Carrigaden.
right behind
Yes,
us,
yes.
and there's the railway station.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, we'll put in any links also to your own work and the Greystones Archaeological Historical Society. But really, this is one of those perfect little books for this time of year,
Absolutely,
where you just want to
yeah.
put your feet up and switch off and get into what is, history is what we live through all the time. So it informs us not of just only then, but it does inform us of now and
whatever
how we
you're
got here.
interested in history, really, there is something in here for you. It is, as I say, very wide-ranging: sport, medicine, motoring, ordinary life, as well as the military.
Was the Greystones Swingers Club active then during the War of Independence?
I think it was slightly later, wasn't it? Wasn't it the 1920s?
That'll be the next book.